from the what we call microeconomics, which is how the internal functioning of the enterprise of the firm behaves, and she's looking at demand for the product and pricing of the product, and I'm putting words into your mouth, but that's what you're getting at. Right? And then Shadan Kumako was looking at the broader economy, which we call macroeconomy, to see how things are working, and in particular how interest rates changes, because as interest rates change, and we're not going into deep stuff, we only have about 2 hours, two and a half, 3 hours to deal with the economy, the economic module. But one of the things you will understand, or you should understand, or you should remember, that as interest rates change, as inflation changes, that's going to impact the value of any security that you have, whether it be stocks or bonds or what have you, and you're really leaving here as you go. Because remember, we're not investing for us is not a willy-nilly, let me try a thing, right? Agree? We're doing this in an organized manner, and one of the important aspects of, or one of the important influence in the economy is interest rates. And yeah, and even though in Jamaica that it does impact, and I don't know, Martin stepped out because I'm an academic. That's all that's mostly what I've done for more years than I want to admit. Martin is the practical person. He's the one out there on the ground. So I don't know where he disappeared, just because he's supposed to help keep me grounded. So we're going to look at why do we need to understand economic concepts. It affects everything in our lives, and we're hoping that we'll have one of the business leaders from one of the, anybody here know water? Or groundwater? Yeah, that water. We're hoping that the head honcho from Wisinko product, will come and talk with you people a little while, so we can ask him about the kind of microeconomic stuff you're talking about, Abigail. So economics impact everything in your life. Even it's really, so it helps us to make better financial decisions, both from a macro point of view, us talking about interest rates and inflation. So when we leave here, I expect that everybody here, in addition to all of the stuff that you read on, you go, I know you all go online and you do things online on Instagram and this and whatever it is, but coming, starting next week, I want you to commit to reading a little bit of economic news, to track inflation and interest rates, because those are two key and critical parts of investment. And then the other thing, so we'll talk a little bit about the impact of interest rates and inflation and what drives those, and we'll also talk about demand and supply. The other thing, so those two things are going to impact our financial decisions, both individually and from a company point of view, and because stocks, the value of the stocks, the value of investment in stock is going to depend on the kind of decisions that the company makes, which is going to be influenced by inflation, interest rates, demand and supply. We need to have at least a little understanding of that. The third reason why economics is important, it's about allocating resources. Yesterday when you were doing the trial run on the budget game, you had to make some choices about allocating your resources, right? And week by week, sometimes there are things you want to do, but you don't have the time to do it. Time run out on you. So, anybody found that? Yeah. And some of you may have been able, if you have money, to buy some extra time, probably by having somebody do something for you. So that allocation of resources, that allocation of your time and your money, well, certainly it was obvious that you had to allocate your $1,697 across different things. So that's economics in a way, but certainly include things like the amount of time you have to do things is also an economic concept. So all of that ties back in. And then once you can, once you understand those two things, the micro and the macro, that's this. By the way, they teach micro and macro at KIP now. You can do those as subjects at KIP. Micro and macroeconomics. Because I have some KIP people in here, right? No? Nobody here doing KIP? And I can't talk, Nobody? Oh, okay. So you don't know if econ, yes?
I'm supposed to, but I'm not sure about the business.
You're not, so you're in KIP, but you don't do any of the business subjects. You don't know econ is done. But bottom line is, if you have an opportunity with that KIP, or if you go to a university, and by the way, if you're doing like a business degree, econ is going to be one of your required courses. It is that important. It is that fundamental. So once you get a good understanding of these two, these two items here, then that makes you more informed as a citizen, and you can know when the politician telling you garbage, and otherwise, and just participate in good, sensible, uplifting conversation. And then the other thing is that, and we're certainly not going to touch this, but econ has a lot to do with the interaction between how countries trade and stuff like that. So the econ field is just wide open. Right, Martin?
All right.
Wide open. Big.
Big.
And we could spend days. And I actually like econ, so I could spend days talking about econ. But a lot of people think that econ is a dry subject, but trust me.
How we do it is about micro and macro.
Yeah, man, we talk about that. Because those two guys hit on the macro and Abigail hit on the micro. When I asked them, why we doing this? In case anybody's wondering, why she don't get to the point where we investing? You can't invest unless you understand the micro. I'm sorry, the micro and the macro. All right, now we're going to start with Abigail. And Abigail started telling us about the demand of, yes, Abigail, you did some pre-reading, right? Or you just bright? Yeah, which one? I give you two choices, Either bright or you do the pre-read. If you never pre-read, then it must mean that you're bright. She's shy. She's so shy. But all right, so the first topic the first thing I want to give you an overview of, and I tell you this is not an econ course, although I could talk for the rest of the week on economics, is this idea of the demand for a product, right? And for most products, not all, is that the demand is what we call a downward sloping curve. And what does that mean? It just simply means that the higher the price, the lower demand, in most cases, right? So if a lot of people, and I use Nike, and somebody said me shouldn't use Nike. Yeah? What's that? Clarks. No, the person actually told me I should have used Jordans. It's true?
Which is Nike. Which is Nike.
Oh, Jordan is a part of Nike. Oh, okay. I will inform her that I wasn't too far. But I should have used Clarks, right? All right. So basically, what does this graph tell us? This graph is telling us that, and this is for most goods, and I know you're going to tell me that there's an exception, is that when prices are very high, not very many, they're not going to be able to sell a lot of Clarks or Nike or Air Jordans or whatever it is that whatever the product is, right? So if you sell it high, you're not going to have a lot of volumes going through. Does that make sense? Because or put it another way, if Clarks were very cheap, everybody would have 3 pairs. True? All right, when might this not work? There are certain products where this might not work. But generally speaking, when prices are high, people will demand less of the product, and when prices are low, we stack up on it, we stack up with it, we buy a lot of it. Is there any situation or any type of product where that may be the reverse?
Another key person is
Stocks? When stocks are high, people will buy more of it? That's what you're saying? Not talk fame, man, not talk fame. And the truth, and that's just
Some people, it's like, for example, when they're doing like 50% off or something.
no, that's actually thing here when they're doing 50% off. So the price is normally here for $500. They do 50% off, so they carry the price down to $250. Why they do that? Because they want more people to buy. So they're going down the demand curve. But I'm going to come back on the stock one, right? Abigail, you wanted to jump in here? I'm saying under normal circumstances, the lower the price, the more people, the more the person can sell, the more the shopkeeper can sell. But I'm saying there may be some cases where high price, although the price is high, the demand is still there. Yeah, that's the question I was asking. What happens in a situation like that? Yes, Abigail.
I don't remember what you call it, but like for example, businesses where we don't have any other options to buy it from anywhere else, such as
Like electricity, no matter what GPS carry them into, we're still going to. But that would more give you a kind of level, flat, horizontal curve where it says it doesn't really matter the price. We still have, well, we might, you still have your fridge, you still have to use the electricity. But there's a special type of good. You have your hand up, or is it you?
Yeah, I was saying maybe if the product has a lot of hype, like the markets.
There you go, sir. Correct? Is that correct? Well, it says when there's a lot of hype, which is why I was going to get back to you, sir, on the stocks. Because that happens with stocks, and we call that sentiments. When the market sentiment, everybody says, boy, you hype up something and everybody run to get it, and it doesn't matter. In fact, the more expensive it is, the more people actually want it because of the hype behind that. Luxury goods.
Rolex, Ferrari.
All of those things. You can't put the price. You almost, well, except for people like me. But what you find is that with those kinds of goods, where you have that sentiment and almost like a premium pricing kind of a thing. Sorry, that's what you're. Sorry. I should have acknowledged you before I talk. Yes.
That's probably why somebody advised you not to use Nike because.
Not to use what?
Not to use Nike as an example because some people consider Nike to be one of those products that the higher the price, the more it's valued.
So therefore, they tend to gravitate more towards that than the cheap stuff. Ah. All right. Check your point.
Just to tie up this, in your stock choices about investing, right?
Mm-hmm.
If your company offers one of those things, then if the company, your target company, so let's say you pick a company to invest in, or you're looking at a company to invest in, this is where the economics come into play. Because you're saying the company is like Apple. Apple is one of those luxury goods, don't it? I think Apple is one of the strongest Uber, man. Agreed? No? Yeah, man. Yeah. No matter what the price itself, record sales, right? Apple sells a lifestyle. That's what Apple sells, not a mobile phone, right? And then we all can agree, right?
Really?
Yeah, it's a lifestyle.
No, but I have an Apple.
Yes, you're in a demographic.
No, my niece work here so I can
So
get
there you go.
my niece work here so I can get discounted products.
We should talk more. But just to tie the economics, if your company, the company you're looking at to invest in, offers a good that behave that way, then this is probably one of the better companies. That makes sense? You understand what I'm saying?
Because the price is going to be high. The value of the company is going to be high, so the price is going to be high. and they will be able to maintain that high price because they are selling those premium goods, Abigail. So you see how the economics tie into your investment? And then I want to go back to this stock price and the hype that you talk about. We also have to be careful that we don't fall prey to a stock that is hyped, and therefore the prices go up, and the prices are high, and people are demanding it, and just kind of really inflate the price, because it's really the hype that really is pushing, that's pushing up that demand, that pushing the price, and you want to stay far away. You want to make sure that the high price is really a high volume, is really a high value, because they're selling those premium goods and not because of what we call market sentiment, right? Because if you buy something that is just hyped because of market sentiment, trust me, you're going to get disappointed real quick. Yes?
Would the amount of people invested into a high value company affect how much money you get back in the end
No, it's not the number of persons. It's how the dividends are going to be paid from how profitable the company is. So the more profitable the company is, the more dividends they can pay. They may or may not pay out all the dividends. They may just kind of leave back some to grow the business, as tell us that what she does is to take some of the profits from our sales and use that to buy more goods. So some companies, obviously the company not profitably don't have what it takes to pay dividends. But if the company is profitable because they're selling those, premium goods or hyped goods, then that means that they can either pay you good cash dividends, or they're going to plow back or reinvest those funds to even generate even more value in the long run. Let me see, I was going to ask you a question. But I know a couple of people indicated yesterday that they had an investment portfolio. Anybody here know who are the good dividend people? I don't leave Martin because I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer to this question, because I tell the people I'm the academic, you are the practical, you are the working person. Anybody know in Jamaica, because unfortunately the game we're going to play, the stock game that we're going to play is US stocks, but a lot of the stuff will translate to Jamaica. Anybody know who are the good, strong dividend paying companies in Jamaica? Anybody know that? If you're into getting cash dividends, anybody know who are the strong dividend paying companies that will pay cash dividends quarter over quarter and pay a decent amount of cash dividends? Anybody know who they are? Somebody said Carreras?
Maurice said Carreras.
Anybody else know? All right, so those are things that you need to, when you're doing stock investment, you're going to need to determine whether or not you want stocks that pay lots of cash dividends, or you want stocks that, you always want comfortable companies that are profitable. But then whether or not you're going to want to make the choice of whether you want to have cash dividends, to have money to spend, or invest somewhere else, or you want the company to do that reinvestment for you. Anything else you want to, any other questions you want to ask or comments on the demand, either for the company itself in terms of the stock, or demand for the product that the company makes, because those are actually two different things. Any other comments? Y'all get it?
Yeah.
Y'all get the difference between the demand, investors' demand and sentiments for the stock, which is going to drive up the price, which may not be the best thing, versus the fact the companies that there is hype and demand for their products, so that the value of that company go up. You understand that difference? Everybody? You don't understand it, we can say it again, you know. You want me to say it again? You understand or we not have to say it again? Say it again, alright.
Before that, I think we know Tesla. We know Tesla.
I don't know Elon Musk.
The more you, right, that's hype. You see what I'm Tesla, well, we can look at it, the Tesla stock price went very high, so the company value got very high, right? Well, this is a personal bias. Maurice might shoot me, right? But I am not
He's
a
gone.
I'll point. I'll talk fast. The EV, I personally don't believe the EV, electric vehicle. I'm not a fan of it as in. I don't think the model has been refined as it. I still think we're going through trial things. And Tesla has huge recalls. Hello?
Yeah, they know that yet.
Okay. Yeah,
You know what is
the
recall?
car them a mash up.
The car they no good.
The car them no good.
And them have to tell come back and
hype, right? And they have made in China, it's a mess. The cars are catching on fire, spontaneous combustion. People are dying. Tesla have a self-driving feature and it's failing and killing people. Right? So because of Elon Musk and the hype, as what I've mentioned, the stock price went up and up and up and up. As we say, with this, can I say artificial? Yeah, with this artificial hype, because Elon Musk is Twitter. He tweets a lot. Right? So with this hype that he creates, push up the value of the company, but the underlying model failed. So now the market is correcting. Make sense? The market are correct now, and the stock price are falling, and people are making huge losses. And you would have, for example, you would have bought the stock at $100, and now the stock is at $2. But we can look at the actual data later. Make sense? Right? But it's the hype, it's the actual hype that pushed up the price. Right? No, it is falling. So that's an example. That's one of the scenario that I mentioned. Other scenario.
and that's the one you don't want.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one you definitely don't want. The other scenario is where it's a solid business model. Again, we're not saying go and buy these stocks. We're just showing examples from the market. However, only a solid business model. There's a company, and since we're talking about US stock, there's a company by the name of Kimberly-Clark. You know that company?
No, they don't know. But they know the product.
You see the product every day. You just don't know it. You see Kimberly-Clark, you can Google it now or later or write it down. Kimberly-Clark makes Kleenex, tissue. The thing we dry hand in the bathroom, around the world, that's Kimberly-Clark. Solid company, the stock price don't move. Well,
The stock price moves.
it doesn't move down. Right. This is a solid company. But all the tissue, most of the tissue brands you can think of around the world.
Because I think it's they do Charmin,
all the
a lot of the household staples.
Towel tissue you use, where you know, right?
Bounty paper towel.
This is Kimberly-Clark. Solid company. Because guess what? We don't stop by tissue. Make sense? We will never, anybody here plan to stop? Right, you will never stop buying tissue. So that's the two scenarios we have to talk about. So she will define it again and then just think about it. As I said, I was talking to a small group yesterday. Think about the products that you use every day. Right? Think about how you respond to it. Probably not you, but your peers. What do you use? What you consume? You have one a Jordan. Make sense? Right, you have one a Nike. That's a stock that you can buy. Another solid one. But thanks to LeBron James, Kevin Durant, all them guys.
Oh, they're all 90s?
Nike, yeah. Cristiano Ronaldo, yeah. Company is rich. Very rich.
So they're selling. So you really, what you really, and we can't overemphasize this. You don't want the fly-by-nights, you don't want the stocks that are being hyped. What you're looking for is the companies that have the solid business model. And in case you're too shy to ask what is the company's business model, it's just simply how they do business, what it is that they do business, how the demand curve look, how people demand the product. It can either be the hyped product, as in the premium products, as in Nikes, or it can just be the solid companies out there that provide value day in, day out. Kimberly-Clark. Maurice had indicated Carreras. Now, Carreras is one of the solid Jamaican companies. I kind of have a little challenge with Carreras, but this is just personal. because it's cigarette and sell. And from but from from a personal preference. But guess what? I think I have some careers in the portfolio. You know. But it is a solid company. It has a solid business model. It has a solid market share. It knows what it's doing. It is well run. So those are the companies that you want to look at. And that's kind of where we need to understand a little bit about the economics, so that you can it helps you to identify the companies. Because remember, first one, the second. Anybody remember what was the second thing we talked about? Or actually, yeah, the second thing when we say the first thing when we say what personal finance is not. Anybody remember that right yesterday? What's that?
Gambling.
It's not gambling.
It's not that easy way to get rich.
It's not an easy way to get rich, which is a we call that get rich quick scheme, right? You just have to do your homework. You just have to look for your good solid companies and you invest in them. Hold that for a time T, and you stay good. All right. The opposite side or the other side of the microeconomics is the supply. And this is, when we talk about supply, we're talking about how the, there was something about something. Oh, before we leave, yeah, I'm not even seeing that. No, you know what, we can leave that. Supply. The supply we're talking about here is the willingness of the company to supply a particular good. The willingness of Nike to supply Air Jordans, or the willingness of Wisconsin, Wisconsin to supply water, or cran water, or whatever. And that and that is going to be what we call an upward sloping graph, which means that the more that the company can sell a particular product for, that will positively influence how much it is that how much they are willing to supply. So if they can sell the product for a high price, they're going to be willing to supply more and more of that product, right? So if they know that they can sell the Air Jordans at a high price, so we're moving from, so if Air Jordans have a high price, then Nike is going to be supplying a lot of it to the market because they know that they can make money off it. That's one side of the equation. Yeah, go ahead.
I thought that like if it was a low price, I would think that there would be more products since more people are willing to buy a lot of cheap ones, and then if it's for a high price, it would have been like
Okay. All right. Hold that question, hold that thought. I'm going to go to another graph where I'm going to show how those, because you're one step ahead of me, because you're bringing in the demand for the product and the supply for the product. And we have an equilibrium graph that we put that on. But right now, all other things being equal, irrespective of the price, irrespective of the demand for it, then we are looking and see that if they get the higher the price they can get for the goods, they are going to be willing to supply more. Right? Like my friend, no, you're the other one that did not wearing Russian to get Madison. Yes, sir. Because you do a little buying and selling too, right? Because if you're what you retail? If you want to tell me, candy, bracelet, whatever, candy, huh? What?
Snacks and grocery.
Snacks and grocery. And if you can get, if people are willing to pay a high price for your snacks, you're going to put more out on the market up to a point, right? Yeah. But anyway, tell me, come on, acknowledge you and talk, speak. Oh, this is back to the demand. Yeah, that's all right. Go ahead.
As a person of this age would be on top of the trends, couldn't you invest in those high things? And once you know that they're going to go down, you pull out?
Thank you. Who said that word a while ago? That is a risk, because you need to be able to. You're talking about the stock price being hyped and you're going and let me tell you, it's high risk and you have to have a lot of luck.
It's about supply and demand. Please feel free to ask, okay?
How
Don't
much
be
time?
shy.
How much time do I have?
As much time as you need.
Really? Because I'll tend to ramble, you know. So.
No, man.
You're also the chair of the...
I'm also chairman of the month. I don't need that. I think Morning, everybody. So thank you, Maurice, for that introduction. So I am the chairman of the Mona School of Business, recently appointed about just in the last year, chairman of the Mona School of Business and Management, as well as chairman of Wisinko Group. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my background. I'll tell you a little bit about the business and sort of the history of the business. I like to put things in terms of stories because I think it makes it a lot more interesting. So I'm going to start from high school. I went to school in Jamaica. I was a kid who would sit in the back of the room and I didn't pay attention enough and caused a lot of problems. I nearly never made it out of high school, and so, you know, fortunate for me, my father was a strict disciplinarian, and he suggested that I should go out and study engineering. I went to university, I studied industrial engineering. I nearly dropped out of college, but again, fortunate for me, my father he told me that if I didn't finish university and get my engineering degree, he would put me to sweep the factory for the rest of my life. In those days, the company was West Indies Synthetics, which was, we made Iron Man water boots. None of you would have been alive when that was happening, and sweet cups and sweet plates and stuff like that. I joined the business in 1988, straight out of college, and I was thrown into the area of warehousing and distribution. And I realized that there was a huge opportunity in creating a business of logistics and supply in the consumer goods space. So in 1992, we started on a program of switching from plastics and disposables, rubber boots and shoes and stuff into consumer products. We were the first company in Jamaica to bring plastic soft drinks into the country. At that time, many of you probably know a brand called Chubby. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. So Chubby is a brand of soft drinks, small little plastic bottle. We launched that brand in Jamaica in about 1994. And at the same time, as we started to build our capabilities in that space, we went into manufacturing of our own brand, and that's where Bigger soft drinks came from. So the Bigger soft drinks in 1996, we launched Bigger, and then we started with Coca-Cola in 2006. We launched brands like Boom Energy Drinks. And as we grew, we added to the portfolio. Today, we're the largest distributor of ice cream in Jamaica, for example. We sell about 90% of all the ice cream in Jamaica. How many of you know Choco Bun, Helados, Choco Bun? Little chocolate ice creams. We sell all of those. Drumsticks from Nestle. Everybody know drumsticks? We sell all of those. Häagen-Dazs, Devon House, Vineyard Town, Creamy. Every single ice cream that you would find in the supermarket, just about, we sell all of them. So Wisinko today is a very diverse business, but we're also very focused. And one of the things that I will tell all of you in terms of going forward, if you want to become an entrepreneur, if you want to start your own business, I tell everybody in that space, focus is the most important thing in business, next to finance. So, I mean, money and accounting is also critical, but being very, very focused is essential. If you become the very best at one thing, it can become a huge, I mean, I can give you some examples. Red Bull, who knows the story of Red Bull? Anybody in here?
Gives you wings.
Eh?
Gives you wings.
Gives you wings. That's what Red Bull does for you, but do you know the story? So the story is the gentleman who started Red Bull was a fellow by the name of Dieter Mateschitz. He's from Austria, and he found the formula for Red Bull on a business trip, and he started the product, just a single can, back in, I think it was back in the early 90s maybe, or maybe late 80s, I think early 90s. And all he did was one product. One single product. It was a single 8-ounce can of Red Bull. Now today Red Bull has expanded and they have other flavors, and it got into sports and entertainment and everything else. But at the very outset, it was one single product from Austria and to the world. And if you look at that company today, in just 30 years, it has become one of the top beverage companies in the world. I think it's in the top 3 or 4 beverage companies in the world from a single product. So I use that example because that company is just a man's focus on one product. And I think over time, what he did was he was very, very focused on ensuring that that product was being sold everywhere with the same marketing message. Gives you wings, as this young lady rightly said. His marketing message was very, very consistent. Red Bull is, you know, an energy drink. It's a lifestyle. It's all about all of the benefits that it has to offer. Now, you know, going back to Wisynco, today Wisynco has a very, very diverse portfolio of consumer products, but we're in the consumer product space. You know, we don't sell, you know, years ago we used to sell pet food. We don't sell pet food anymore. We used to sell cleaning materials and household chemicals, etc. So we're very, very focused on items that are lifestyle for consumption. You know, you spoke about earlier, how do you get the maximum amount for the brand? So we created a brand, Water, in 2002. This is my favorite brand. You'll never see me anywhere in public without it. I drink probably 8 of these a day, and it is probably one of the greatest health benefits other than sleep and exercise is to drink a lot of water. So I'm making a plug here. Drink as much water as you can. When we launched this brand, it took us about 2 years to come up with a name. We had, if I tell you some of the names, you would laugh, but the brand name Water was actually one day, I was struggling with all of the names that we were looking at, and I said, how do we determine what is the right brand for this water that we wanted to launch? And in 2002, I sat down and I wrote it out. How does Jamaican people say water? I said, well, if we spell it like how they say it, maybe it will, you know, it can resonate with the consumers. And in those days, you have to understand now, everywhere you go in Jamaica, you can find a bottle of water, right? Whether it's school, on the roadside. So when, in 2002, when we launched this brand, there was nowhere that sold water other than like the high-end supermarkets, the top restaurants, and maybe in the hotels. Bottled water was not available for sale on the street. That's only 22 years ago. And I said, well, how do we ensure that water is available for consumers everywhere? So we started on a campaign. The first campaign we did was on the benefits of drinking water. How it helps you in terms of your metabolism, your diet, your everything, your skin. We did a whole campaign about the benefits of drinking water. And within about 2 years, it started to grow. Then I said, well, how do we get it available so that the person on the side of the street wants a hot, you know, in a hot day, they can get a cold bottle of water. And what we did was we married it with Bigger. We put water and Bigger in the same case, and we sold them to the little outlets. And then a vendor or a wholesaler or little shop had water available for the first time. And then we got lucky. In 2004, anybody here born before 2004? No? So in 2004, anybody remember the year 2004? What happened that year? Hurricane Ivan. That's correct. Hurricane Ivan. Hurricane Ivan hit Jamaica and the south coast of Jamaica. And there was, all water was cut off in the city of Kingston and most of the southern part of the island for almost a month. So there was no running water anywhere in Jamaica. At that time, there was really only 2 factories producing water, ourselves and Catherine's Peak. We were in Spanish Town. Catherine's Peak is up in the hills of St. Andrew. The roads to Catherine's Peak were blocked and they could not get to the factory to run the production. So we were basically the only water that was available for about 2 months in the whole city and the southern part of Jamaica. Now, you have to imagine if we had trucks, we would have 100 trucks every morning lined up, and all we did was run the factory continuously to ensure that we could supply water, because now people were using it to wash their face, brush their teeth, and the water brand became synonymous with water for the whole country at that time. So that was good fortune paired with the branding that we were doing, paired with the success of the brand as it started to grow. So, you know, long story short, we came up and said, well, now we've got the #1 brand of water, right? Today we have, I don't even know how many brands of water there are in Jamaica. There are probably 50 factories. There are some brands that are sold a lot on the street. You have brands, even now stores have their own brands. PGJ, which is Progressive Group, they have their own brand. Price Mart has their own brand. Lasco. I mean, so there are many, many brands. Grace Kennedy has Catherine's Peak. They acquired that brand, as well as a brand called 876. So then, you know, every company basically has a brand of water. But we still are maintaining and growing the water business in Jamaica. Last month, July, was very hot, and it was also the highest volume of water we've ever sold in the history of Jamaica. We sell more water per month than all of the soft drinks and all of the juices and all of the juice drinks put together. And in terms of the market share, we have about 70% market share for water in Jamaica, with a brand that is still synonymous with the, you know, if you ask the average Jamaican, what is the water of your choice or preference, most of them will tell you water, water. A lot of people go into the stores and they ask for it by name. So that's a little bit of the background on the water brand. What are we now, you know, as we grow as a company? Starting from, and I want to go back to what I was saying about focus earlier. Starting from the early 1990s, when we transitioned into consumer products, we became very, very focused on 2 or 3 things. One was having the right mix of products. Number 2 was becoming very, very focused in terms of our distribution. So the strength of Wisynco today is great brands, having our production, but the most important strength is really having the relationships with our customers. Just before this, I was actually at a very large customer, helping with advising them on, you know, the way forward for the business. One of the partners is not well, and so I was helping the other partners in terms of how they should evolve and what they should be doing to help grow the business. That has been the real success of Wisynco. So today we service 13,000 customers across Jamaica. We sell to small shops, bars, vendors, restaurants, schools, hotels, supermarkets, etc. And have a full portfolio offering of products. So as I said, ice cream. We do, you know, Red Bull. We do Boom energy drinks. We do bigger soft drinks. We do Coke. All of the range of Coca-Cola, including Sprite and Minute Maid and Powerade and vitamin water. We do Welch's juices, Mott's apple juice, True Juice, Fresh, Squeeze, Juiciful. So juices alone, we control about 90% of the market for juices. And then in the waters, we have cran water, grape water, and regular water. So our areas of focus are good brands, good quality products in the fast-moving consumer goods, and also distribution. All of that to say that the success of the business really, you know, today in all of our businesses, because we're also invested in sugar, we most of you probably don't know the sugar business, and also all of you are too young to be in the rum business. So we have investments in rum with Worthy Park. We also, as I said, in the juice business, we have True Juice, which is a 50%. The family owns 50% of that business, and we're also invested in snacks. St. Mary's. Who eats St. Mary's? Banana chips.
At some point,
Everybody knows St. Mary's. Yeah. So our snack business is also we're the biggest, one of the biggest companies in the snack business in Jamaica. We have Pringles. We do St. Mary's banana chips, Hers potato chips, Nature Valley granola bars as well. So we're very big in those areas also. So if you come across, in your daily life, any little shop, you're going to find a lot of our products in those places. And as I said, it goes back to focus. Being very focused on how we sell, what we sell, and who we sell to. And so today, Wisynco is a public company. I don't know if you're going to go through the whole, you will. So investing in public companies in Jamaica, all about how we came to that point. Today we have, a business which is very, very diverse because of its portfolio mix, very diverse because of our customer mix, and very diverse because of our people. And it's one of the things that makes us, the company that we are. And it's a very exciting time. We're building a new factory today. We added 3 new production lines just in the last 6 months. Hired almost 400 people just in the last 6 months as well, and growing the business for the future.
Yeah.
So I'm going to turn it over.
I was going to ask you a question. So
Sure.
we're speaking about supply and demand,
Right.
right?
Right.
So you have such a diverse portfolio of products,
Yeah.
and you're supplying obviously based on the demand.
Correct.
How do you go about creating that demand, and how do you know that the demand is out there to create the products or buy the products?
So, good question. And if you look at let's take the beverage business specifically. If you look at the beverage business, when we entered in 1996 with Big Up, the total market for sodas was about 6 million cases a year. One of the things that we saw is that as there was more activity and more investment in the space, a lot more companies came into the business. You had SM Jalil in Trinidad, now you have Lasco, you have Wisynco, you have Pepsi. All those businesses drove consumption in non-alcoholic beverages. Today, the market for non-alcoholic ready-to-drink beverages is probably somewhere around 50 million cases. So we have had a big issue with keeping pace with demand, because the more that you make the products available, and availability, as well as so the real function of supply and demand is ensuring, 1, that you have the products available, 2, you have them affordable so that the average person can go in and buy the product, and then 3 is ensuring that so you have availability, affordability, and acceptability. Those are the 3 in the industry. I mean, I know the 3 A's of a beverage. So over the years, we've invested heavily in coolers to create the availability, and having, everywhere you go in Jamaica, you see a water cooler, a Coca-Cola cooler. And then affordability is ensuring that we keep the price point within reach for the average consumer to be able to pay for it. And then acceptability is the marketing component, where we spend money investing in, with Coca-Cola, for example, the sponsorship of the Olympics. So all of you who watch Olympics would have seen Coca-Cola sponsored that. Coca-Cola is involved with World Cup. Coke is involved in Jamaica in many different areas of music and entertainment and lifestyle. And all of those things then drive to the supply side, sorry, making sure that we have the products available. So over the last 3-4 years, as the market grew and demand grew, we had some challenges with supply. Yes, you have a question.
So, you said that you have to
Right.
price and quantity. What would you do? Because I intend to increase the price to get more money.
So, all right, and there is a balance between that supply and demand that you will find. So every brand will have almost right. Okay. So every brand will have a strategy. Every product will have a strategy. Red Bull's strategy is they want to be priced at a premium. So Red Bull sells at a very, very high price in comparison to any other non-alcoholic beverage. I think it's probably one of the highest, if not the highest. And that's their strategy. They want to be seen as being very exclusive. And globally, they've done very well at it. You know, if you look at, for example, we launched Boom Energy Drink. And Boom, we always took the role or the sort of focus. We wanted to be basically 50% of Red Bull's price, even though we sell Red Bull, because we feel that Red Bull is a premium and that there is a space for Boom in the market. And we have been able to manage that, and Boom has grown to become a very, very big brand in Jamaica. You know, similarly with water. So there are waters on the market today that sell for 2 times or 3 times our price. Those are, I was sharing with Maurice earlier, I'm invested in a water in Miami, which is a canned water, very high profile, very premium water. And that sells for, it would sell equivalent to about 500 Jamaican dollars a bottle, if you can imagine. It's in a can. In Jamaica, you have water selling for close to that price. You have what, you know, imported Fiji or Evian or some of these brands that are very, very high price. The demand function as in terms of pricing and supply is really a function of what can the consumer afford, and business people tell you what is a reasonable price, as opposed to what is the cost of supply or cost of goods. So, you know, in Jamaica you have waters that sell for half the price of WATA. Consumers don't feel that they're the same quality, so they're willing to pay more for water or Catherine's Peak or another brand. Yes?
How does inflation affect demand and supply?
How does inflation affect demand and supply? So, depending on the type of product, inflation really impacts at the very, I would say at the very hardest point, areas like basic food commodities, not so much lifestyle products. And Maurice has a lot of experience in that. So Red Bull, for example, even during the highest level of inflation that we have seen in Jamaica in the last couple of years, Red Bull sales didn't decline. What did decline was like bigger soft drinks, maybe rice, sugar. Those are, you know, basic items. And it's because the average daily consumption of those is much higher than, say, Red Bull. People who consume Red Bull, if it's $200 or $300, they're still buying the Red Bull, you know. So I think inflation, it affects demand at different levels based on the product. Yeah. Yes.
So when you go to the shop to like buy a drink and you realize that the price has increased, is it the business itself that increased the price, or is it the shop that increased the price?
It could be both. It could be both. So typically, especially in Jamaica, there's not a lot of control over pricing. Like in the US or Europe or whatever, people would set a price point like $1 for a bottle of water. And everybody basically sells at $1. And it's managed through the chain from the supplier, manufacturer to the retailer. They manage the pricing. In Jamaica, it's not managed. So the companies set their price, they sell it to the wholesale or to the shops, and the shops then set their price. You can find a bottle of this water on the road for $200. You can find it some places for $50. You can find it for $100 some places. It just depends on who is selling it. You go to a dance or to a show or something, you might pay all $300 for the water, you know. You go to a hotel on the North Coast, you could pay $600 for the same bottle of water. And you ask yourself, how is that possible? but it's based on what they feel they can get for it, and that's how they price it. Yes. What's that? What challenges? I could be here for 2 days telling you. So I would say for any business, the greatest strength and challenge is going to be people. The greatest strength of our company and our business is having people who are motivated, people who are, driving the growth in the business, doing the work in terms of production. So we just came through a very trying period during COVID, and one of the things that at the end of it, Wisynco came out very strong. A part of that is because we had the people who were motivated. When we listed the company in 2017, about 1,000 of our employees became shareholders in the company. And that is over the years I've always wanted to have everybody participate in the ownership as well as in the growth of the company. And I think the biggest challenge has been ensuring that we keep the people happy, keep them motivated, and also it's the biggest strength. This gentleman here had his hand up.
Back to the situation you guys had with the boom and the Red Bull. So the question is about have they ever think of raising the price of the
I would love to.
Wow.
But we have to maintain a price point that for that category is within, it has to be affordable, remember? You have to have it, it's acceptable, available, and it has to be affordable. So affordability is a function of what consumers are willing to pay. It's not a function of how much they can afford. It's a balance between what they can pay and what they can afford. So the truth is that a consumer will pay more for Red Bull because the perception is that it's a very, very premium product. It's involved with F1 racing. They do all kinds of stuff to events and they're sending people up into space. And I mean, if we did that, we could probably charge more as well. But we are more involved like with Sumfest or whatever locally.
So what about the quantity?
The quantity.
More price, more quantity.
So we're doing some things, and I'll tell you. I mean, we're putting in a can line, so we're going to have Boom available in a can later this year. So I think the packaging will create a much more attractive, almost premium look. And I think once Boom is available in a can, you'll probably see we'll have an ability to get to a better price point per ounce. It might be not as much per unit, but better per ounce because of the packaging. So we're doing things to continue looking at improving margins, investing in it, and so forth. Gentleman at the back, yes.
Yes. So from what you've been saying, it seems that as demand grows for the products, supply increases, they need more money, right? So what I want to know is, when do you know when to decrease price and when to increase price of the products? Because you said that you're thinking of bringing in cans to increase the quantity of the products, right? So
Right.
that will increase supply. But one point is have to reach for you to increase the price or.
So let me give you a little bit of a story about that, around that question. And Maurice has a long history with Coke, so he knows in Coca-Cola. Let me clarify. Coca-Cola. So Jamaica was in the world, I think, in the top 3 markets globally for Pepsi, as far as market share, up until 2006. For many years, Coca-Cola had been struggling in Jamaica to get any traction for the brand Coca-Cola. In 2006, we took over the distribution in Jamaica, and by about 2007, we started bottling it here. And we did a lot of work on the ground awareness for the brands in the communities. We did a lot of work in terms of execution and promotions. Now, today, Coca-Cola and Pepsi are almost on par. And I'll tell you, and this goes back to the supply and demand and pricing, because it's very, very critical. When we came into the market as a beverage company in 1996 and then leading over the 10 years to 2006, Pepsi was always the leader. You guys were not around, but in 1996 there was really Pepsi and D&G, and then Bigger was way down here. Today is the reverse. There is Wisynco with its range of beverages, which includes, you know, Bigger, Cran Water, Coca-Cola, Sprite, Minute Maid, you know, Fresh, Juiciful, etc., is way up here, and Pepsi is down here. They're not even close in terms of volumes. And what we were able to do was go from being a follower in the market in terms of price. So we would wait and watch Pepsi, and anytime they raise prices, then we would move up behind them, and we'd always be a little cheaper. Today, we're the market leaders. We also have better positioning for the brands than Pepsi would. We have better, better availability, better execution, and so because of that, we're able to always maintain a premium in our pricing. And it's a function of all of the things that I spoke about. If you're highly available, highly acceptable, and you're doing all of the work to promote the brands, you can raise prices to a point. You know, you'll find a point where you say, okay, there's going to be resistance, and then you'll stop. It also is, it's based on availability, because for 2 years we couldn't keep up with the demand. So we were actually raising prices to temper demand a little bit. Companies do that. They will say, okay, if we can only make 100, but we can sell 200, well, let's raise prices to the point where we sell what we can make. So, you know, yeah.
Has your company ever been affected by PR, like demand, and how did you combat it?
Bad PR. So there's always, you know, there is different messages that are out there. For example, that soda is bad for you. So there's always that message. You know, the Ministry of Health has taken sodas out of schools. That happened, I think, about in the last 5-6 years. So some of you were probably in school when the transition out. And while that has happened, sales have actually gone up and increased, even removing sodas from schools. In terms of PR, I would say that there's, you know, probably more around the negative effects of sodas and health and non-communicable diseases. I don't believe that it, but that's one of the things that if you look at Wisynco in terms of our portfolio, so diverse, I will tell you, well, drink water, you know. I mean, there's everything good about it for you in terms of rehydration and your lifestyle and everything else. Or drink flavored water. You know, Cran Water has low sugar. It's a third of the sugar of soft drinks, and it gives you the same amount of refreshing flavor. But the reality is, if you're having like a nice patty or a slice of pizza, there's nothing nicer than a Coke or a Bigger, you know, or a Sprite. With the right food, it goes. It's the greatest combination, you know. But drink it in moderation. So those are the only negatives that I really have seen in terms of PR. I don't really, you know, I think Wisynco has done a good job in terms of managing. We were involved with the Ministry of Health in the food task force years ago. I suggested to the minister at the time that they shouldn't ban soft drinks in schools. What they should do is restrict sizes that were being sold. So don't allow them to sell the 20-ounce drinks and the big ones, but sell smaller sizes so that there was limits on how much kids could drink. Yes.
In my school, actually, like the sodas are cheaper than the fruit juice, like the orange juice. So
they sell sodas in your school?
Yeah.
Really?
They sell Coke, but only Diet Coke.
The Coke Zero.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I was actually, with the Ministry of Health, I told them, my view was that if you take out sugar out of schools, most of what is going to be available is going to be artificial sweeteners. And the reality is, I don't think enough research has been done on the effect of, long-term effect of artificial sweeteners on especially on young people. But, so that's why today we have, that policy. But the reality is that if you can, drink water, drink juice. I'm not saying don't drink sodas, but moderation. It's nice to have a nice cold Coke with a pizza or a patty or Chinese food.
Water is the cheapest option because it's water and then the soda and then the fruit.
Right, the juices, yeah.
Any other questions?
Anybody have any other questions?
No?
Well, this has been very good.
Let's give William a round of applause, please.
What about investing? Are you going to be speaking about investing?
Yes, investing in. So each of them are getting $10,000, as we know, at the end of the course, and you'll be able to hopefully buy some stock. And Wasinko stock is available
on the stock exchange in Jamaica.
So you can buy a piece of boom or water. It's true, right? So if you want to be, if you drink boom every day.
No, they should be drinking
then,
water every day.
Exactly.
Boom once in a while, like when you go to a party.
Yeah, then you should be investing. That makes sense, right?
Of? Currently, it's about $20 a share.
$17.95.
Huh?
Wasinko?
No, wait, hold on.
No, it's about $20 a share.
Let me ask you one question.
Sure.
What was the IPO price?
$7.87.
Okay.
So,
you heard that, folks?
So I will give an example. I just spoke to yesterday a technician came to my house to repair a piece of equipment. And when he walked in and he looked and he said, "You're the water man." That's what he called me. I said, "Yes." I said, I am happy to be known as the water man. He said, I have to tell you, I bought Wasinko shares when you listed the company in 2017. And I said, "That's fantastic." I said, "How has that been?" He said, "I will never sell your shares." Because he said to me, he bought at $7.87 in 2017. And he has reinvested all of the dividends since then until now. So every year, Wasinko pays dividends twice a year, which is a percentage of the profits which are distributed to the shareholders. He's reinvested those dividends in a mandate with his broker, where they take the dividends and they purchase more shares. That's called a dividend mandate, and he reinvests back in Wasinko. So he has had more than 400% growth since 2017 until now in his portfolio just with Wasinko shares. So that will give you an idea of why is it good to invest in a company. Not saying that Wasinko is the only one, but there are other companies out there that are solid and good investments.
So you can all buy shares in Wasinko. $20 a share, you can all buy shares.
Yes, it's $20.04.
$20.04.
Yes, today.
Well, thank you again, William.
Thanks, Maurice. Pleasure. Thank you very much, everybody. And the questions were great. All right. Enjoy the rest of your course.
All right, how do I, you ask somebody to follow that. But let me just summarize a couple of things. We probably can take a 5-minute stress, but let me just summarize some of the things that he said that coincides with, he spent a lot of time talking about how the business is situated and the focus, and remember Martin tell you about consistency. That's another way of saying focus, but a lot of what he was talking about, how they set the pricing and how they do this and how they diversify their portfolio. That's what Martin is talking about, getting us understanding or getting into companies that have a solid business model. So all of what he was most of what he was talking about, he was explaining the business model of the firm, how he does it pricing, how he does his expansion, what he focuses on, etc., etc. Now, we're not saying that you must all go out and buy with Cinco, but that is how you must look at company, what they're selling, how they're selling it, how they organize. It does involve some, you have to get into the company, you have to do your research to be able to do that. And you may say, but I don't understand enough to be able to do that. But if you, most of the investment houses here, Barita, Mayberry, what have you, they do these investor briefings, investor updates, analyst report. I wouldn't say just go to one. If you're interested in a particular company, go look at all of them and see what all of them are saying, and they will hit on some of those things, and that will also give you an idea of how well their business model has been. How well they're executing their business model, and then you can make the decision as to whether or not you want to purchase.
You said that Lysinco is a public company and whatever. So that means that we can't buy shares of a private company.
Okay, when you have a public company like Lysinco or GK or NCB or Scotia, it's public in the sense that you can purchase shares on the secondary market, and we'll talk about stock market later on today or tomorrow. As a member of the general public, there's an easy platform, an easy market in which you can go and purchase shares. You'll be purchasing it from another investor that wants to sell for whatever reason. They may have some liquidity constraint. They may just say they want to change up their portfolio or whatever, but there will be investors out there that are willing to sell at the right price. So for example, last year I bought Main Events some time ago. Y'all know Main Events, right? Main Events is another public company that has done well. So I don't remember how many shares I bought when they went IPO. And, about last year I said, okay, I've made enough money off Main Events. I don't remember. Matt, you remember what the IPO price on Main Events was?
No,
You're not a Main Event person. But they came in fairly low, and the price had gone up, and I said, okay, I'm going to sell half of my shares. Not that I don't like Main Events, but I'd made sufficient money from Main Events to sell. And then may say, well, you're just starting out, you want some Main Events. So it would be able to, that transaction, I would know who I'm selling to or who you're buying for, but your broker can organize that. Now, in terms of a private company, so it's easy, a whole lot easier when the company is public. You can just go on the stock market through your broker and buy and sell as you wish. Now, if you have a private company like Martin's company now, it's not, all right?
Or no Burks.
Who?
Burks.
Burks Auto
Burks,
Supply,
Burks.
yeah.
Burks
It's a
is
private company.
Yeah.
So if you want to have an ownership stake, if you want to buy shares in that, that's not easy because there's no public marketplace, so to speak, to go and buy that. You'd have to know an existing owner who'd be willing to sell, and you'd have to go figure out the price and go argue and go huddle and
Fight. Literally.
That's going to be difficult. So when we talk about public companies, that's what we mean is that it's easy to buy and sell. Mr. Mapu came and spoke, and addressed a couple of questions that was asked. Just put it on our supply graph. I know this young lady here had asked about inflation, and one of the things in terms of supply, how does inflation impact the business? I know he said, he obviously wasn't saying, couldn't get into a lot more details, but one of the things we know is that as the cost of production, although he had mentioned it earlier, as the cost of production increase, then it means that the actually shifts the supply curve down, but it means that less and less, they will be less willing to produce, unless it is that they can increase the price, right? So that's all the cost of production, and the cost of production will impact a whole heap of, the factors that go into the cost of production is a lot, including, you know, salaries and wages, workers, etc., distribution costs, selling costs, and from in between what he was saying about the way they have constructed their business model, one of the things he spoke about is that they have the distribution system down pat, which means that they can reduce that cost, which means that they can make more profit from the business, and that is why the stock started out at $7 and it is now at $20. So you're looking for things like that when you are you're looking at what are the good companies to buy. All right, get back to the question that you had asked earlier. Now we put the demand curve and the supply curve together, and the equilibrium quantity that's produced and sold is where the two lines intersect. You all don't, no, not all of you have done linear algebra or graph or whatever, but you see at this point when we put the supply, how much the company is willing to supply. Oh, okay. And we put we look at what they're willing to, what is being demanded, where those two cross. That's the equilibrium, and that is the amount that they are going to sell. So they're back. So yes, they are producing. Yes, they are selling. And when those two things intersect at the same price, then they know that they're going to sell this amount of quantity at this particular price. And so the company will balance that, so as you know, input cost changes, they may have to do some adjustment to the supply curve, and if they are able to increase the prices. Because one of the things that he alluded to is that they sell Red Bull at really high prices because it's premium. And you know, people, a sufficient number of persons will demand it at that price, so they are getting a lot of revenues. They're not making all that much, but they're making a bag of money from it, because that difference between the cost of producing and the cost of selling, that's basically the profit margin, and that is high enough even at low volumes. So just on a side, because I like econ and I like to talk about econ, some companies for their business model will look at what they call low profit margin. So they sell a lot at low price. So the business model is that we're going to make money by selling a lot, even if we make a small amount of money on each product. While some companies' business model is going to be, we're going to sell a relatively small amount, but the price is so high that margin between the cost of producing it and the cost of selling it is sufficiently high, so even though I'm selling a small amount, I'm still making a bag of money.
Like what you, like the products before Red Bull and
Like the products before?
Red Bull and
Yeah, like Red Bull would be considered high margin, low volume, and that model maximizes the revenues for them, or maximize the gross profit, the margins, while Boom is low margin, high volumes, which also will maximize the profits for that particular product line.
they can get Boom for like 150.
You don't drink neither the Boom nor the Red. I drink the water, but I don't drink neither the Boom nor the Red Bull. I don't even drink coffee. So that's kind of like this demand and supply sort of, in a sense, explains the business model that the firm will adopt. Now, if we step away from the microeconomics, which deals with how the company operates, the business model that the company adopts, we can look at more of the macro, which involves things like your interest rates and your inflation rate, which is also really, really important in the world of investing. And this little diagram just tells us how money goes through the financial system, how money goes through the economy. So I'll just kind of, on one side, you have to have people, you have to have entities, or entities I want to say, or you have to have sectors in the society that are willing to provide capital in the same way that Wisconsin is willing to provide Cranwater or Bull. And the person or the sectors of the society that are usually the one that are providers of funds or providers of money are usually the householders, and that may sound strange. In this diagram, they actually do it on both sides. So here we have the providers of capital. Some people call them the lenders, people who are lending capital, or people who are savers. And the main sector that provides capital for the economy is actually households, individuals, you and I. How? Whenever you save money, whenever you put money in the bank, you're actually providing capital. Whenever you do investment, when you invest in an IPO, in the Sync or iCreate or any one of those companies, you're providing capital.
What do we think banks do when you put your money in the bank? What do they do? I don't interest.
Yeah, but somebody here should shout out your answer again, man, so that Morris can hear. I heard somebody over this side said something.
What do banks do? When you put your money in NCB or you put it in Scotia,
They take us a fee.
what do they do with
They
it?
take out a fee.
Yeah, they take out a fee.
What else they do with what they don't take the fee from?
They
They what?
Lend it out.
You heard that, Maurice? They lend it out.
That's exactly. They lend it out.
With interest when the entity, whoever borrowed, pays it back. So every time we put money into our account, we're providing monies for the economy, to businesses to be able to borrow and to expand their business. We also do that. Some of you don't do that yet. Some of you actually have investment accounts, and depending on the instrument that you're investing, I will talk about instruments in a little while, that also provides capital, provides money for the other side of the table, which is this. You're not a part of it, but your parents will make, when you work in some companies, you have a pension plan or an investment plan where they take out money every month out of your salary and put it towards retirement planning. That is also a source of monies for the economy. So, and then on the other side, you have the users or the borrowers and the okay, the government, most governments, and Jamaican government included, run at a budget deficit, do not provide capital. They actually, I'm going to get into trouble if I say this. But they do provide some funds if they run a budget surplus, but most governments run deficits. In other words, they spend more than what they collect. So we put them there, and then another. If this were in Jamaica, we would put right after household. We would put foreigners, because Jamaica has a very large tourism. Yes. But what's the other one that they have a large amount of? You probably don't know the statistics, but what's that? What's that? Starts with an R. Remittances, Western Union, MoneyGram, that is a source of funds, and a very important source of funds for Jamaica. Big. It's probably one of the largest source of funds inside of our economy that provides money. Right? So those are the two main sectors that provide money for the economy to go around is householders and foreigners. And you probably, it throw you off when I say foreigners, right? Because it's not really foreigners to us. It's our aunts and uncles and friends and stuff like that sends remittances. But when you look at what the economists call them foreigners because they live outside of the country. All right, and then the sectors that get it are mostly the business people, because they need monies to expand and grow and stuff like that. The government, every time they run a budget deficit, they spend more than what they collect in taxes, which is often most of the case. They will also need monies to provide salaries for teachers, roadworks, what have you. Some householders will borrow money instead of lend, especially amongst the younger persons, because when you're younger, you're buying your house, you're buying your car, you're doing what have you, so you need money. So that comes over there. And in Jamaica, there are very few people that does, it might not be so few, that actually send money abroad. You know that Jamaican people send money abroad. Under what circumstances? Some of you may be fortunate. You send money to family members. You believe that? Anybody have a sibling, an older sibling, or anybody like that that is goes to a foreign school? But some people do that. Some people send their children abroad to school, and if they send them abroad, they're going to need money. So that is how we get foreigners there to be on that side of the table. You had a question? Oh, okay, you're just putting on your jacket. All right. So how does this money go from the providers of capital to the users of capital? It can go directly, where you go into the financial markets, and if the company has done an IPO, and I'll explain what an IPO is, an initial public offering. So we're talking about Wisynco in 2017. They went IPO. In other words, Wisynco said to the public, give us some money, we will do expansions, we'll take your money, do some expansion, increase our business, and we'll return. And you'll see the stock price go up, and you'll get dividends twice a year. So that's direct finance when a company does an IPO, and a lot of companies have done IPOs in Jamaica over the last, say, 15 years or so, especially in the last year. So you have companies like Fontana. I keep saying iCreate, but iCreate, I really should wipe that out of my mind, because IPO is not a good success story. But you have main events, as I was talking about, Derrimont Trading, Dolphin Cove, those are some older ones. I don't know the newer ones.
Knoxville Express.
Knoxville Express. No, Knoxville Express is kind of old school. Who are the newer ones that is young people might know? Dollar. What's the energy one? Fresco, you know Fresco?
Fresco, gas station.
Okay, they went IPO recently. And so that's direct finance, when you take your money and you give it to the company through an IPO, and an IPO means initial public offering. Otherwise, as Maurice had indicated, you have financial intermediaries, and most of the financial intermediaries in Jamaica is your bank. You carry your money, put it in your savings account, the bank then takes that money, as somebody said earlier, and lend it to various companies and governments, various companies, sometimes to individuals, and that is your indirect finance through financial intermediary. And some financial intermediaries, like a GMB or a Mayberry or a Burrito, will take your money and then on your behalf go into the direct financial markets. So you can either do it yourself when you see an IPO coming through, or when the government says that they want to borrow money through a short-term paper like Treasury bill, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. You can take your money and go down to Ministry of Finance or Bank of Jamaica, that was old school days. Or you can give your money to a JMNB, they put it in one of their funds, and then they enter the direct market. Or you can put it in one of the financial institutions, and then they will make money to loans to the government and to other individuals, tend to be younger persons who are buying their houses and their cars and whatever it is that people take money from. Right? Now, how does this, interest rates come out of this in some ways, right? How? Remember we said that remember the demand curve? The more demand, the higher the price. So, the demand curve is downward sloping. So if you have high demand, that is going to be at a high price. What happens if a lot of these people over here, the business firm, the government, the householders, and the foreigners, because we have so many children going to school abroad, if there's a significant amount of demand for money, what's that going to do to interest rate? And I probably need to define this. That interest rate is the price of money.
The interest rate will skyrocket.
The interest rate hopefully not skyrocket, but certainly will increase. We don't want interest rate to skyrocket because it impacts all of us in a negative way. Most of us in a negative way. So when there's a significant amount of demand for monies, whether companies are expanding, governments are running at deficit, we need money to remit to individuals abroad, and that demand gets high. We know that interest rate, being the price of money, is going to be high. And if you're borrowing at higher rates, what's going to happen? You have more interest to pay back. So it becomes more difficult. So that car payment, Abigail, you're going to borrow money to buy the car, or are you going to buy cash? You know what? You figure that what? Later. But you don't let us change your wants, you know. It's an ambitious one. But as interest rates go up and we try to borrow, it means that our repayment amount gets larger and larger. When companies try to borrow, they have, just like individuals, they have higher interest charge, which is going to add to the costs of their doing business, which means that they're going to either have to charge us more for the goods, or they're going to have to sell less goods. Right? So high interest rates benefits very few people. So let's look at the flip side of that. What happens if the supply of money increases? You know, yeah. So more and more. What's the opposite? When the supply, when demand for money goes up, interest rates go up because price of money is interest rate. When supply, so when we have a ton, we have a whole heap of money. Whole heap of money is available. What's going to happen to the price? The price of money or interest rate is going to go down. So you will hear governments will try to encourage individuals, householders, which are the biggest portion of the supply of funds, to increase that. So we have, the government issues tax breaks for people to invest in certain instruments to provide more capital. And it just, you just have governments and other persons within the economy, Bank of Jamaica, what have you, really try to put policies in place that encourages people to save more. And when you save more, interest rates go down and everybody benefits.
So when we reach far in investing business and we're making like 200,000, 300,000 or some out of these shares, does tax get implemented into that money that we're getting back to them or something?
Boy, what's your name again? Akil? Akili? Akili need to come to the front of the class and she need to stand up here. So because the question there is...
Register for MGMT 3090.
No, it's 3050.
3050, yeah.
Investment and analysis.
Yeah.
All right, but let me answer her question, which is a very good question. When you invest, the question is, when you're really into the investment, and I'm expecting whole heap of things from this young lady here, no pressure. Well, we did think of giving out some spot price, but I'm questioning here, the spot price we have, many of the spot price I can match up to the questions. Anyways, but so the question, carry on, is when you invest and you're making the monies, if government tax it, right? Two answers to that question. It depends. If you say invest in stocks, right? And the stocks, you return, when you invest in stock, two things can happen. You either get cash dividends or you get the stock price increases. Well, the cash dividends is cash. but I recognize you, but not right now. So cash, when I finish with her, I come East first and then you. These cash dividends get taxed, and the government takes their whatever tax rate, which will vary every day. Every so often they change the tax rate. I think it's probably 15% now, but I'm not sure, or 25%. They will take that and they take it at source, meaning that the company paid less the taxes. You don't have to worry to file. If the prices go up, they call that a capital gains, and that is not taxed. Even if they sell the stock and you get the increase, you buy it for $50 and you sell it for $60, the government doesn't really tax that $10, as they never used to. It might be a little transfer cess, about 1 or 2%, but they don't actually pay tax. If you get it like that, then that is, so if it's cash dividends, it's going to be taxed. If it is price appreciation and you sell, it's not taxed. Now, if you bought, like, say, what they call a bond, which is a instrument, like the government needs to borrow money, they will issue what is called a bond, and you get interest payment on that. You know, periodically, every half year or so, that gets taxed. However, the government, because they are interested in people saving to increase the supply to reduce interest rates, they are saying that they create these products where if you keep your investment for 5 years and don't touch it, you're allowed to accumulate and roll it over tax-free during that period. So instead of losing tax every year and stuff like that, the whole thing get to, you know, you can reinvest and roll over, and that you'll see that your returns get even higher and higher because you're not paying the government anything. So the answer to that question is, it depends on the kind of product and how you get your returns. So you're going to be smart, because I just tell you this, and because you're young, you're going to go into those products that are not taxed, at least immediately. And there are some other products too, if you buy insurance policies, that doesn't get taxed at all, even when you take it out. Your question, sir.
This is very important. Everybody here understands tax, right? If you don't, please ask them. This is probably the most important thing to learn, because you need to learn about investing and making money. But tax is such an important part. If we made $1 million tomorrow and the government taxed you 30%, that's $300,000 that they'd be taking out of your money. Right? So you're up to 700,000 instead of $1 million. Right? So it's important you understand the difference in terms of capital gains, where you're not taxed, or minimal amount of tax, versus dividends where you're taxed on the most.
All right. Yeah, but that's really tax management. I know we can't cover everything, but that is important, because you really don't want to give you want to minimize the amount of money that the government takes from you, unless you're really an altruistic person. But generally speaking, you want to minimize legally the amount of money, and you can do that by the selection of securities that you invest in. Yes?
So back to the currency solution that you talked about, like
Currency?
interest rates.
Oh, the interest rate. Yes, yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
And you say that everybody will be fine with
Everybody would be what?
fine.
Fine? If I mean?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
If interest rates fall. Most people.
What about like our currency?
Oh no, wait, hold on. Well, we'll get some real tough questions here, Martin. No, okay, when interest rates fall, I'm going into Fisher effects now. I mean, well, some of my graduate students don't even get this concept, you know. When interest rate falls, the demand for your currency, so in Jamaica interest rates fall, outsiders, foreigners are going to demand less of it, and so our currency will, what they call, devalue or become less less valuable. So that's one of the challenges with, and I'm oversimplifying it, but I realize I can't oversimplify this, that yes, when interest rates fall, currency, the value of currencies tend to fall. So if Jamaica were now to drop their interest rates very low, everybody would say, no, 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 I'm not getting, if I hold Jamaican dollars, I'm not getting enough interest, so I'm going to go hold US or Canadian or pounds or euros. But that's on a different level. Yeah, that's on a different level. But yes, that is one of the drawbacks of having a low interest rate. It benefits the society because individuals and companies can expand at a lower rate. And by the way, that feeds back, because as the companies become more profitable, they give the individuals, the workers, more money, which allows them to be able to invest and save more, and you kind of get to this virtuous cycle. People talk about vicious cycle when you spiral down, but there's also the virtuous cycle where things spiral up. And that's where governments usually try to want to get to, where you're saying, well, okay, you set up the economy so that companies can do well, and if companies do well, they pay well, which means that the employees can have more money and then invest, and it just kind of go around quite nicely. But yes, you are correct, there's this flip side, that if your interest rates are too low, then your currency is going to devalue, and that is going to feed into higher inflation, especially in a country like Jamaica, where we import so much stuff. Because every time, you understand the dollar devaluing? Every time the dollar devalue, the price of oil, the price of this, the price of that becomes more expensive, right? Yeah, the Canadian stuff. What's that?
Give an example of how it affects things in terms of importing. So, if the dollar devalues, then what happens to input imports?
Well, that's exact. So if interest rates fall sufficiently low, the dollar will devalue. So let's say it devalues from 150 to 160. It means that if you're buying something that say costs 100 US dollars, that would then be 15,000 Jamaican, and when it devalues to 160, that is now 16,000 Jamaican dollars. So price goes up, and when price goes up, we call that inflation. So that's the flip side or the downside of lowering your interest rates too much. So again, it's kind of like a balancing act. The government wants interest rates to go down, at least not go up, but they don't want it to go down to the point where the currency suffers, which is when you're going to get your imports. Everything that you buy, and Jamaica imports a lot of stuff, becomes more expensive, and that just, end up having to use more of your salary to buy those stuff. Your light bill go up, your water rate go up, everything, and then that leaves you with less money to invest, and if you have less money to invest, then you're going to have higher interest rates. So it's don't knock your don't knock your civil servants, your Bank of Jamaica people, and your Ministry of Finance. Their job hard because they have that balancing thing to do. Abigail, you had a question.
What is the bank taking? After we invest, are they taking like some of the dividends that they
Okay, you mean when you put your money in a savings account?
when we invest?
When you invest in the capital markets? And I have a pet peeve for this one, but I won't say it. You go and you carry your $10,000 to invest, right? You're using their services, so they may charge you, say, like a 1%. And so what will happen is that you only end up with now $9,900 in which to buy your shares. Now, they have to take some money because they have their staff to pay and they have their business to run. So that money that they take from you is really to operate their business. So yeah, when you get your money, it's not the 10,000 that is going to get invested. It's going to be a little less than that because although the public, it's publicly traded, you can go and, you can access it. You have to access that public platform through some kind of broker, and the broker must, everybody have to live. So they have to pay the staff and they have to make some money. So they take a 1% or a 2%, and that helps to facilitate that. But if you do it right, you will get more than 1 or 2%, right? So that's what the fees are for. It's really to provide, it's to run the business. It's a business that must run. So, and the same thing with the banks, when the banks charge you fees and they give you the interest, you're investing, they're paying you 0.5% or 1% for the year, and then when somebody go borrow the money, them charge them 9 or 10%. I still think the spread is too wide, but part of that is to cover it's to cover the cost of doing business plus to make some profits. Yes, sir.
Why do we pay tax? What is the government deduct the tax, and would you pay less tax? And what are the results of tax? What of course have this happens to taxpayers?
Boy.
Good question. Good question.
Very good questions. Good thing. I was struggling with how this would fit in, but boy, we probably should spend a little longer time on economics. Why we pay taxes? Because the government provides us with services. Which school you go to, sir? You're at Michael? All right. I don't like you. No, but Michael provide. Government provide a subsidy to Michael, right? Because the amount of school fee, because you pay school fee at Michael, right? The amount of school fee that you pay at Michael is probably, can cover probably 30% of the cost of running Michael, or probably 50 or 60. I don't know what Michael fees are. They're probably cheaper than you, so it's probably like 60%. So the government have to find money to do that. They have to find which school you used to go to before you went to Michael. Jose Martin. And you pay one little cess, right? At the beginning. It might seem like a lot, but it's a small amount. When you think that you have all the teachers to pay, they have the classroom to fix, they have this to do and that to do, and we always complain that the schools don't have enough money. That is what they do with the taxes. So they provide services, they fix the roads. And the government, collect taxes through motor vehicle taxes and income tax and GCT and education tax, and they have all kinds of taxes, but, and they provide most hospitals in Jamaica, public hospitals. You go there, yes, you pay a little money, but it really does not cover the cost of medicine, and part of the issue is that they don't even have the medicine, but part of that is the cost. So in Jamaica, the government do not have enough money, and that's why they are users of funds, because we just see the lack of, we call it the lack of service, but we just find that the roads don't get fixed as well as they should. The hospitals are not as equipped as they should. The schools are not as equipped as they should, etc., etc., etc. Now, I know you're going to say the government wastes all for money, and I'm not going to dispute that. But that's a different story, and that's why we have Integrity Commission and that thing. What was the other question? How do you pay less taxes?
Why not?
Good answer, but let me ask you this. If you pay less tax, and we know that tax supports the education system, the garbage guys, fixing the roads, what happens to that stuff? I think there has to be a balance in what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Sorry.
Yeah, no, but let me just point, every country every taxpayer in every country think that they pay too much taxes. Right? It is a natural thing. We just think that we pay too much taxes. Now, I've lived abroad for a number of years, and I pay, and just to give you an example, it's a true example. Where I live now, in Jamaica, my property tax is $50,500 per year. And I scratch my head and say, No. I scratch my head and said, I get my garbage collect every Monday or Tuesday. I'm really good at collecting garbage in my area. Every now and again they throw something in the pothole, right? But generally speaking, they throw something in the potholes. And I said, is that 50,500 sufficient? And I think that for the equivalent house in an equivalent, as I say, where I used to live was equivalent to where I'm living now. You know what taxes I pay in the US? Call it $7,000 and $8,000 US. All right? The garbage come twice a week. They come twice a week to pick up your garbage and your recycles. When you have bulky things like mattress and stuff like that to go out, you call them and they come and pick it up for free. If I go down the road this morning and there's a pothole, when I come home this evening, it fixes. Right? So when you weigh that, when I look at that, I said to myself, you know what? The 50,000 that I pay in Jamaica just cannot provide the services. So let's get a little bit of perspective that in Jamaica, we don't pay enough taxes. Now, I will admit one thing, sir. I don't know if our tax dollars are used efficiently. And that is a different argument. But anyway, before you had some other questions.
Just to have an answer in how we pay.
How we pay? No, well, what we have to do, we're not going into tax evasion, right? And there are ways of doing that. We're not going into tax evasion. And I feel very strongly, tax evasion is when you illegally evade tax. You got a person for that. There are ways and means of reducing taxes. I spoke to how you do your taxes. If you invest in stocks that don't pay dividends and get a whole heap of capital gains, you're going to minimize the amount of taxes that you pay. If you do charitable, if you're a business and you do charitable stuff, you adopt a school and stuff like that, the monies that you spend on that, the government gives you a tax break. And the government do provide some tax. For example, they changed the income tax law recently and say that persons who are putting PV panels, solar systems, can get back as much as, I think, 30% of what you spend as a tax credit. You get your returns and you pay that much less taxes. For solar systems, I think it's up to 4 million, which is a tax credit of 1.2. So you can look for things like that where the government provide relief from taxes. In terms of income tax, when you're old and over a certain age and pensioner, you get more tax-free allowance. So, well, you can do that. I'm closer to that age than you are. I'm looking forward to paying less taxes. But, you kind of have to, if you're really serious, there are tax lawyers and tax accountants that can allow you to legally, and emphasize the word legally, avoid taxes. All right, who's handling those first? Yours? All right, go. I'm going to take you, then you, then you.
Why don't they ask for permission to take your taxes?
Why they don't ask for permission to take taxes? Because you get the services and you just have to pay for it.
But sometimes they have to pay for services.
Yeah, but that is because we don't collect enough taxes. But what we can do as a nation, and I would encourage all of you as you get older, is to be a part of things like, oh gosh, it just slipped me a while ago, senior moment. There are organizations out there that try to keep tabs on the government. But there's a portal that you can actually go in and check how governments are doing and pressure the government to make sure that taxes are being used effectively, and that's going to be your best bet to be an informed citizen, to pressure the government and say, don't waste the money and don't do this. When you fix the road, fix it good once and for all, so you don't have to be spending money fixing it all the time. But they're going to take it from you because they provide the services. Okay, you're going to say you never asked for it, but they are public goods. You have to get health, you have to get education, road have to fix, garbage have to collect, etc., etc. And so they're just saying, well, okay, we give those services out. Some of them don't charge for, some of them you still have to. So we are just going to take the taxes, and that's part of the government mandate and requirement that they be able to do that. So they're not going to ask your permission, they're just going to take it. Yes, sir.
What's the difference between tax fraud and tax evasion?
I don't know if there's not much difference between tax fraud and tax evasion. Both of them are illegal. Tax evasion probably leads to tax fraud.
Tax fraud is manipulated. Evasion is where you just don't pay at all. Like you just don't show. Tax fraud is where you actually manipulate. You game the system. Right, but they are, the penalties are the same, it go hand in hand, because a deliberate intent to deceive. Right.
So if you don't pay, it's an intent to deceive. If you manipulate, it's an intent to deceive.
So the court will look at you using the same lens. Yeah.
And we're not, we are discouraging you from doing
What
that.
you want is tax avoidance, where you use the law,
So,
break the law. And that's perfectly legal.
and that's legal, and that's where we're talking about, you know, you take advantages in the tax code, and a tax accountant or a tax lawyer can guide you as to how to minimize the amount of taxes that you pay, and do so legally. I'm going to take your question, and then yours. Oh, no, what's that? She had her hand up long time?
No, I'm just saying.
Oh, okay.
I'm wondering who pays the Prime Minister and does he have to pay taxes?
Yeah. This is being recorded, so I will be very careful. Every government expense, whether it be teachers, members of parliament, etc., is paid from taxpayers' funds. Whether that taxes come from PAYE, that's the taxes they get taken out of your salary, or it comes from GCT, or it comes from ed tax, or it comes from customs, excise, whatever tax. Without going into too much detail, there's something called a consolidated fund, and it goes in there, and the different ministries are allocated monies from that, and one of the places that gets allocated is Parliament, and they pay. Does he pay taxes? He's an employee, so he will be required, he is required to have his taxes deducted at source, and I'm not saying anything else. Because that will definitely get into trouble. Yes.
Okay, on the topic of like tax fraud, what do you feel like when you're filing your taxes, you could like fraud or something, do you still get like charged?
But of course, if you even if you don't deliberate, even if you
ignorance is no excuse.
Ignorance is no excuse of the law. No, you can try and explain and say that, you know, this is a genuine error, etc., etc. But generally speaking, it don't count. I'll give you an example, and it's a true example. It happened to me. My parents actually used to have a business, and they put us all as children. And this is how, I mean, even in Jamaica, it's worse in other jurisdictions. They're tight, and they put all of us as children as directors. It's a family business. You put your children as directors, right? You don't want no outsiders. And they come, we got zero benefit from being directors, right? But the income tax department assumes that directors get paid. They audited the company, and they said, oh, so they audited the company, and they said, oh, well, we noticed that none of these companies file returns and pay taxes. They issued a bench warrant for me. Serious.
Explain what that is.
A bench warrant is where you don't comply, you're being asked and you don't comply. And they issue what they call a bench warrant, which means that anytime they see you, they arrest you. My father had to intervene and to explain, because I was studying abroad at the time, and say, well, she's not here, she can't file taxes, yada, yada, yada. Though that's not an excuse, but at least it was enough to, that is why she's not responding, it's because she's not here. So the bench warrant was removed, but you know what I had? And I said, oh, she's abroad studying? Then that means that she get money to go abroad and study. Whereas there's no taxes on that. I had to write the university I was at, I was on a full ride, a full scholarship. I had to ask the university to write a letter to the tax authorities in Jamaica to explain to them that I was on a full scholarship and required no additional support. Right? You see this tax something? Don't mess with it. It is important. I came back and I just had to file nil return, but I had to support it as to say that I did not get any money, and yes, I was able to, this is how I was supporting myself when I was studying. Don't mess with them. Don't mess with them. You had a question?
Sure,
Oh, she had it. Yeah, so that is taxes. Get your tax accountant, get your tax lawyer so you know what is the correct thing to do. They will haul you off to prison. They will prosecute. Nearly had a police record, right? All right, so yes.
Yes, yeah. The people who work with tax, right?
Mhm.
The tax people, they want to take the tax from themselves.
Of course.
So,
Yeah, you mean like the companies that file people tax returns and stuff like that? It's a business, and whatever money they make, they have to file the returns and pay the appropriate amount of taxes.
So they must arrest them consent.
Oh no, you mean the government? No, but it's the government that has the power to issue the warrants and stuff like that. So you mean the people who work for the government in the tax office?
Yeah.
They get paid, for them taxes come out first. I mean, they're PAYE people, and their taxes are deducted at source. If they are contractors, if you're a contractor for the government, the first thing, before you can get the contract, you have to show your TCC, which is your tax compliance certificate. So if you want to work for the government, you have to show that you're up to date in paying your taxes. And not just income tax, it's things like NHT and NIS and all of them something. So this tax business is a serious thing. And that's why I'm saying get a lawyer or an accountant who is an expert in taxes.
Does anybody know what NHT is? What does that mean? What do they do? They give you money to buy a house?
They don't give you to you now. They lend you money to buy a house.
Discretionary rates.
At very good rates. Usually below market rates, and they also lend you money to improve your homes and buy solar panels. Sorry, no, solar water heaters.
And panel no.
And panels, no?
The same way what they give you for the 4 million NHD funds is that too.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay. They never did years ago,
Yeah, just that.
Oh, just recent. All right. This has been a really good discussion, and I really, really like the questions that you're asking. It tells me that you're listening. It tells me that you are engaged. All right. So we finished with the economy. So we did the microecon first, which is demand and supply. Then we walked into the macro, which is how the economy works, and of course we got into taxes, which is not even on here, but that was great because taxes is an important part of your investment strategies. And of course you have a little bit, hopefully a little bit understanding of how interest rates, the factors that will move interest rates is the same demand and supply as for water or for shoes or for anything out there. And then Kamako had to bring in the foreign exchange part of it, which is part and parcel of setting your interest rate policy. So there's a lot of stuff that between Bank of Jamaica and the Ministry of Finance that has to juggle when it comes to keeping the economy going. All right, what we're going to do in the next 10 minutes or so is looking at importance of savings. And I kind of somehow suspect that most of you are familiar with why it is that you save. One of the important things, I left this out yesterday, but I put it in as a part of the savings, is to create an emergency fund. How many persons got caught yesterday in the games with those unexpected expenses? Right? They just came out of the way out left field. That's what your emergency fund does. You had a question? No, you're still putting up your hand. Because you're really annoyed with those expenses, but you must have an emergency fund to deal with that. And you should have a separate account that deals with emergency for your emergency fund over and above your savings fund that you use to get to a point where you want to where you can use it for investment. It also helps if you have a good savings that if you are to lose your job or something like that, that you have some monies to tide you over until you get your next job. And usually people recommend that you have 3 to 6 months worth of expenses in some kind of savings account. And trust me, that is hard to do, but that is what you should aim towards having. Your savings allow you to, especially your short-term goals, you save for your parties, vacations, and all the new gadgets that you want. We discourage people from borrowing money to maintain your lifestyle. So you borrow money to buy a car or buy a house or buy some investment stuff, but for your lifestyle where you're going on vacations, party, buying a new phone or buying a Nike or clothes or whatever you buy, we encourage persons to save for that instead of borrowing for it. Yes, yeah.
No, I was saying there's a lot of, you see, around the party season in summer, a lot of people offering loans to go to Dream Weekend. Terrible.
Terrible. Trust me, it's one of the, personally I would say it's one of the worst things that you can do, but it's really not helpful. I mean, it's much better financial discipline if it is that you save for those things. We're not saying you must go party and enjoy yourself, because in your game, you see that when you didn't do the fun stuff, your comfort level went all the way down. You have to do that. Life is made for living, right? But you just have to be smart about it. Savings, save up enough to get a down payment for your house or car, start your own business. And the last one is what I call this thing lifestyle debt. Everybody know what debt is, right? When you borrow money that, and I am specifically, when you borrow money, that's debt. If you take out a loan, that's debt. You put yourself into debt. You have a credit card, and folks, I know as you get older, credit card is sexy, but be very careful on the use of credit card. The interest rates on credit cards in Jamaica is almost 50%. So if if you leave $100 on your credit card, after a year, you owe $150. Right? In fact, it's more than 150 because it compounds. Tomorrow we'll talk about compounding. No, you don't, if you have a credit card, folks, promise me. Please promise me you pay it off in full every month. Right? Lifestyle debt is debt that money you borrow for those parties and gadgets. Try your utmost positive best to avoid borrowing money for style and fashion. Folks, you still listening to me? I know it's getting close to lunchtime and I'm getting tired. But this is really important. Do not borrow money. I'm going to make this for primary school. Repeat after me. Yeah, oh my God, repeat after me, because I want you to. I do it sometimes even with my undergraduate students. And except for that young man here in the rich undergraduate student. Repeat after me. I will not borrow money for style and fashion, which is called lifestyle debt, which is your parties, the fancy equipment. I will save to pay for those things. Thank you very much, sir. Sorry, thank you very much, people, because that's really
Yeah.
really, really important. Very quickly. Oh, I skip a time. Okay. All right. While you also save, take advantage of sales. There might be something you really want, but you don't want to buy it at the price. You're waiting for the sale to come around. You save up the money. You're in a position to buy it when the price is right. It gives you that financial flexibility. It also, having a savings account really can give you some serious peace of mind, because you know that whatever life throws at you, or most of what life throws at you, you have it covered. It creates financial discipline, and when you get into investing, having financial discipline is critical. When you save, it also becomes part of your being able to prioritize your needs over your wants. Because remember yesterday we spoke about, you know your needs you have to pay, you know you have some wants, but you also probably just kind of defer some of the wants a little bit so that you can save some more, so put yourself in a better position. You can use savings to build wealth. However, as Dr. McNeil said yesterday, your savings account paying 1 or 1.5% is not going to generate wealth. It's not going to generate wealth, but once you have that discipline of savings, when your savings account reach a certain amount, you take that off and you put that in your investment account, and that allows you to build wealth and hence secure your financial future. I'll stop there for the time. Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to the afternoon session. I hope you enjoyed your meal a little better today. Yes? Okay, great. All right, there are a couple of things that we need to do. There was an exercise that we left out, but that's okay. But just very briefly, before we get into the game for the afternoon, these are a list of possible instruments, and we call them instruments or we call them securities that you can trade in. So we have what we call money market instruments, which are short-term instruments. You get back your principal within the year. Commercial paper, that's not so big in Jamaica. So Treasury is the government's way of borrowing money short-term. Commercial paper is how strong companies like Simca, Carreras, whatever, can use in the short-term market, but that's not so big in Jamaica. And then banks, of course, will borrow money from individuals, because when you make deposits to banks, you're essentially lending money to that institution, and that's done through CDs or term deposits. There are some tax-exempt securities which we had talked about earlier, and these are instruments. Securities are instruments. I'll use those two terms interchangeably, where you're not paying taxes on the profits that you made. And in Jamaica, we have these special securities that you have to hold for at least 5 years to get that tax-free benefit. So all of you are looking to pay less taxes, gravitate towards those. And then there are retirement and insurance products, which are by law tax-free. On the capital, what we call the capital markets, and somebody had asked me, what's capital? Capital is a fancy way of saying money. On the capital markets, and those are where you invest for the long haul. And you can either invest in bonds, which are essentially long-term loans that are issued by corporations and government. And they're available. They are not as widely traded in Jamaica as, say, stocks. But the JSE, the Jamaica Stock Exchange, do in fact have a platform where you can trade bonds. Not very liquid, right, Martin? Yeah, very, very. And when I say liquid, it means that it's hard to get somebody to. There's not a lot of activity in the market. And then we have the equities or stock, and that represents ownership in a company, and that's where most of the liquid or the trading will go on in Jamaica. And I will, young people, listen up, because you don't need to ask questions. You're going to miss something, and you're going to have to ask questions. Martin, you ready for oh, I thought you were going to.
Okay, I'm talking first. Barcode. Barcode.
Yeah, man, the barcode report really. Where were we moving? You on this?
First of all, anybody know this site? You know the website, huh? No? Alright, I'm going to start a new tab. Just for the...
New tab is to the side.
To the side.
Right.
Alright. Ready? Everybody see this? Yeah? Because this is where you're going to play. For those who win, or when you win money, this is where you're going to play. The investment account. This is the site you're going to go on to know what to invest in. Yeah? Ready? So you can do either Jamaica Stock Exchange. Simple Google search can do it, right? Or you can go JSE, whichever one. Jamaica Stock Exchange, yeah? You're supposed to get returns like this. The search returns, yeah? Usually it's the first one, right? So we'll click it. And the page loads. Everybody good so far? Everybody good? Nobody left behind, right? Right? I will admit it's not the easiest site to navigate, alright? To the end of the page, well, there's a whole lot of information on this page. A whole heap of information. But we're just gonna pick one company, right? And what better company than Wesinco? Okay? We met the chairman this morning. All of we know Wesinco products, right?
See Wesinco up there?
All of we
right?
drink water.
On this, you see this, the
Ticker.
The ticker.
You call this a ticker. You see it? You see this?
We see.
Hello? Yes. Who wants to stand up? Response better, stand up? Who wants to sleep? Right? So you call this a ticker.
Can everyone hear properly?
You call this a ticker, right? This is a ticker, and it provide information on the company, right? I will take one early. JP, you know Jamaica Producers? Right? So it uses the abbreviation for the company, and every company has an abbreviated name, right? I think a ticker must be, internationally a ticker does not pass 7 characters. So they will abbreviate some of them, so Wesinco is perfect. Wesinco is perfect, right? So it shows the company name, Supreme Ventures, you know, a lot of company. Supreme Ventures is a listed company as well, right? And it says at 1238, 35,139, and that VOL is volume. It means that 39,000 shares were being traded as at 1238 today. So the market opens every morning at 8 or 8. Or between 8 and 9, the stock market's open, right? And it closes at about 2:30. We can double check that though, right? So what happens is that, as Doc mentioned briefly this morning, when the market opens, you might have some Wesinco shares for sale, and I might want to buy some Wesinco shares. You put your shares for sale. So you say, I want to sell my 100 Wesinco share, right? And you say you want to sell it at whatever, you can put whatever price, but of course, there's a market price. Making sense? That makes sense? So let's just say he says he's going to put 100 Wesinco shares for $20, right? Me log on now, right? And I log on through the investment account, and I say I want to buy 50 Wesinco shares, right? And because you are sell and me want buy, we can automatically do the transaction. Make sense? And that contributes to the volume. So it means that up to 12:38 today, Supreme Ventures had 38,000 shares trading hands. That make sense? Make sense? Everybody good so far? Yeah? Right? And the ticker, and it is real time, well, as real time can be. That's why the time is there. right? The last line shows the price, the selling price of the stock. So it's a JMD, $2.94 per share. Make sense? For that company. And then this right here, see this? You see this right stuff? You see blue right here? Means no change. Red means the stock price went down, and green.
No green.
There's no green today. Today's a bad trading day.
No man, we think was green.
Right, we think it was green?
Yeah,
Right.
there must be a green.
A green soon come up, right?
Green
But
soon come.
what's the point, right? Blue means that the price hasn't
Kingston
changed.
Wharf.
Alright, so Kingston Wharf's here. See it? KW. Kingston Wharf's. 3,400 shares, $28 per share, and the stock price has gone up by 0.94. 94. You see that? Everybody see that? Hello? And this is a function of any, if you go on, like the game we're going to play in a few minutes, this is how the US market, every stock market display the data the same way. It's a standardized way of displaying the data. Good? Right? But since we're going to get Jamaican dollar investment and we're going to invest in Jamaican dollar companies, it's good to understand how our source of information works. Alright? The stock exchange is the official place to communicate. So we saw Mr. Mafu this morning. If the company have a big announcement to make, they have to notify the stock exchange first. So that's your official place for news. Not social media, not Gleaner, not the conventional media. He has to notify the stock exchange first, and then at that point he can do press conference and call Gleaner and so forth, or go on his social media page. Good? So this is your credible source of information. And this is important, right? Because you have a thing what we call information asymmetry. Right? Or you know what insider trading? You ever hear about that? People go to jail for that. Right, because it means that you are privileged to information before the general market. Right? Martha Stewart. Google Martha Stewart later. Right down Martha Stewart, Google her later. She went to jail for insider trading. Alright? So this is the home page. Cool?
Just a sec. The opening hours, the trading hours is 8:30 to 2 o'clock.
There we go. So between 8:30 and 2, you can buy and sell your shares. Alright? So let's scroll down. Monday to Friday, yeah. Monday to
Except
Friday.
for public holidays.
We go to listed companies. Listed companies, right? And Jamaica has several markets. We have the main market, where the big companies are, right? Then you have the junior market, where the junior market, where the, can I say not so big?
Not so big.
Not so big. Yeah, the growing companies are, right? So this is where you find Knoxford, the iCreate, Main Events, right? The junior market has a cap, forgive me, right? This is a nerd moment. The junior market has a cap of 500 million, right? So once you went to the market to raise up to 500 million, you go on the junior market, right? For the big market, where you put on your big boy pants, there's anything over 500 million. Cool? So Wesinco is a big boy. It's a very big boy. So we go main market.
When it went on the market.
When it went, it was small.
It was tiny.
Yeah, when it was, it's graduate now. It's graduating. It's graduate now, right?
And Epley, I think, also
Graduate,
graduated
yeah.
to the main market.
Market,
So
yeah.
as they get over
Access, a
size,
couple of them are graduate now.
they have to migrate to the main market.
Right, so we scroll down and just look through this list. You see a whole heap of company. We know Caribbean Cement.
Yes.
Yeah, see? Caribbean Cement. We know Berger Paint. You must know Barita, because Barita spam everybody. Barita spam everybody. Barita marketing is top. You're on YouTube watching a little cartoon and Barita pops up. Right? Grace Kennedy.
Y'all know Grace Kennedy?
Hello? You're not supposed to know Grace, yeah.
And Jamaica Broilers.
Jamaica Broilers, chicken. You know Jamaica Broilers?
Best Rest Chicken.
You know Jamaica? Oh, okay. JMB? Yes, alright. Jamaica Producers, JPS. We know Kingston Wars, right?
Yes.
All of us should know Kingston Wharf, don't it? Alright.
And you're supposed to know the next one after that.
Kingston Wharf.
You're supposed to know,
Lasco. You must know Lasco, yes?
Lasco Financial.
I think two of them come over. I think financial the 1 year behind. You know, graduate. Must I graduate come over now?
No, but this is main market.
Yeah, they were in the junior, they don't come over now.
Also Lasco Finance.
I think they were one.
Oh, the Lasco is now on main market.
Yeah, they broke it up, you know.
Me know.
Yeah, so they don't come over here.
Okay.
NCB. Yes?
Well, you better know NCB.
NCB. Well, should know NCB. NCB is on the stock market as well. Palace Amusement. Watch movie, Karen? Yeah. Yes? Palace Amusement, see there? It's a listed company. So you see, there's a whole heap of companies. A lot of things that we consume, you can invest in. Alright? Salada? No, you don't drink coffee. Scratch that. Radio Jamaica, RJR. No RJR, right? Yeah? Yeah? Sagicor. Seprod. Scotia. You know them brand, yeah? You know these products? Yeah? Supreme, well,
You're not supposed to know that.
you know of Supreme Ventures. Right, you can't do
You're supposed to know that.
bad habit. Yeah? Trans Jamaica, all of we know Toll Road.
That's the toll road.
Trans Jamaica Limited, that's a toll road. The toll road, the company that operates the toll road is a public company. You can be a part owner of that. Remember when you buy the shares, you're an owner, you know. You can be a part owner. You know the toll road, right?
Yep.
Yes, yes, see it there? Trans Jamaican Highway, see? Good. You know VM? Victoria Mutual? Good. Wigton, we know that. Anybody here from that side? I know that. Wigton Wind Farms, turbine in Manchester, up the road from that Patrick. Yeah, good. And then our company, just for today, is Wasinco. So we're going to click on Wasinco, right? Click on Wasinco, and it will load a whole host of information. Right? So Jamaica Stock Exchange, then we'll go to listed companies, we'll go to main market, we'll go to Wasinco. As you can see, the current stock price is $20.04 per share. So if you wanted to buy 10 shares, it means you're going to spend $20.04 times 10, and there's a small fee. There's a small transaction cost for the stock exchange charge you. Clear? Why we look so like? We lost? So we look so. We get nervous now. We came to learn about investing and now we're learning we're nervous. It's okay, it's natural.
No, but you should be, you know. It is healthy.
It's natural, yeah, it's natural.
Natural to be nervous.
It's natural, right? So if you wanted to buy 10 Wasinco shares, right, you'll go on your platform, you'll all of your accounts by end of this week. You go on your platform and you put in an order to buy, you select Wasinco and you put in 10. Remember that this price changes per second, per minute. Like, it's live, it's trading. Make sense? And as it trades, the price changes. So if a big order goes in now, it may influence the price that you get it at. Maurice.
Can you speak to why the price moves in terms of supply and demand?
Yeah,
Oh, well.
because if you have a lot of people buying, if a lot of people want to buy, let's say for argument's sake, you weren't getting $10,000, but you're getting, say, 100,000 or thereabout. And every one of you went out there and wanted to put all your money in Wasinco. That would create a huge demand for Wasinco stock. Where do you think the price going to go? Up or down?
Oh.
Because the demand increase, the price goes. And if everybody, for one reason or the other,
Decide to sell?
decide to sell, what's going to happen to the price?
Good? Make sense? And there's a whole heap of things that can cause that demand. So this is where I go back to the economy as this morning now, as the economic part. If the market likes the new, I'm saying I'm going to put boom in a can. So that news comes out, right? And you get a preview and then keep a big launch party and you get a free boom.
and you drink it and you realize that hey, you can fly or whatever boom do to you, right? Whatever boom does to you, right? So you say, hey, I believe that the market will run to this product. I can see this product selling, right? So therefore, as an investor, right, naturally a lot of people are going to run towards buying the stock. Again, the same demand and supply. Make sense? Make sense? And as I say, remember, tomorrow morning we can check it first thing. This might not be the price. Alright? Because trading ends at 2:30? 2. So our next 25 minutes worth of trading with it. Cool? Also on the page, right, which is what you want to know, is the historical price of the stock. You see this? This graph here? Any point along this graph, it will show the historical price of the stock. So yesterday was the 9th?
No, Friday was the 9th.
Friday was the 9th. Today the 13th. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Today the 13th.
Question.
Yeah.
Since we have that information about the boom coming up,
Mm.
we run to buy stuff.
Yeah. Well, probably it's in the public space already, you know. But yeah. Yeah, but
if it were,
yeah, he wouldn't have said it, right? He wouldn't have said it. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's out already. Anything he says, and this is the risk with management, right? Because something you have a thing we call a blackout, where you have to stay quiet. As much as it itch him for share it, right? So anything he said this morning is in the public space already. But if it wasn't, then and he would have been in trouble. And if you act on information,
you also.
right? Only when you act on it. If you never act on it, then you're good. But if you act on the information, then there's a little trouble coming your way. All right. So any point along this? So see Friday, the stock price was $20.22. You see that? Oh, sorry. Oh God, yeah. The broker, you forgot public, right? You need a broker, you enlist a broker and an arranger. They do a series of due diligence. An IPO takes between 12 months and 24 months. So between 1 and 2 years. Them do a series of due diligence, can take, right? And they do a valuation. Where I hear this? Yo, my side, cool, right? You do a valuation, right? So they value the company, right? And there's a whole heap of valuation methods that exist. You will learn later when you start your first degree and your master's. If you're fortunate, you'll be in one of my classroom, right? And the arranger and the broker comes up with a valuation. So they say, me and our company, assume me have a company, that company is valued at 100 million, right? And they will say, all right, fine, we're going to offer 20% of this company to the public. So 20% of 100 million is 20 million, right? Then now, this is where the psychology of it comes in. Because where do you want to place the price of the stock at that point? Do you want to do 20 million stock at $1 each? That make sense? Or you want to 10 million stock at $2 each, right? What we see happening in Jamaica, the recent IPOs is $1. The last 5-6 IPOs we have on the junior market, they all come at $1 each, right? Because the market responds better to that, right? Especially with our current budget constraints, the market responds better to that. So the IPO is really the arranger and the broker, and these guys are rock stars. These guys have them CFA and the FRM and the CPAs. These guys are qualified individuals that knows the market, study the market, and then they decide what price point they come out at for the IPO. After that, the market determines where you trade at. After that IPO, once it goes on the secondary market, the market decides what to trade at. So if me and Doc believe in your company, we love your company, we like the idea you have, we believe in the management team, we might decide to just throw a lot of money on it. Right? And that way, because we are talking a lot of money. That now will start pushing up the price. Cool? So this chart here shows the historical price, right?
Martin, one thing. If you overrun the CA, does
Yeah,
it tell you
I hit me go to right. I hit me go to. It's some CA's corporate action. with some news. There's some big news coming out. Whether them going to declare a dividend or probably this is where announce they can boom. But CA means it's a corporate action. It can mean that there's a change in management. Right? As I said, any major material news must go to the stock exchange first. So this CA tells us that on Monday, July 15th, a big announcement came out, and you can come right here. Latest news. Right? Why this important? Let me give you an example. Ready? What if this corporate action on Monday, July 15th, Chairman Mahfood said that L.A. Lewis is the new CEO? There we go. You don't need to know it. He's a crazy guy. The stock would it would be delisted, right? This is a mad man. This is a man that alleged to be the son of the Queen.
Oh,
right. This is right. But you see the point, right? So the information you get helps you decide the next move. As the Virgin said, because of the can boom, we might want to go buy more shares. We like the idea of it. The can has a different appeal from the plastic. In fact, I actually hated the plastic bottle. Yeah, so I really, what him said this morning, I said I really like the idea of a can boom. Right? But it makes sense? So news and believe me, first world responds much faster to news than our local market. Like literally. There are a whole heap of investors and traders, that's all they do. They're in front of the computer all day, all night. So as a corporate action come, look how the Apple, I think we're expecting Apple's announcement soon to announce the iPhone 16.
They announced 15?
The 16. We're anticipating the announcement for the 16. Yeah, every September. It's every September, right? No, we're anticipating it not announced yet.
No, I know, but
right.
I didn't know they announced 15.
The 15 is? 15 out already. The 15 billion. The 15 out over a year now, right? I say this to say, whenever Apple announces the 16, the stock price usually goes up.
Yeah, because everybody come back.
Right? Well, whatever they might do it at work, you know. Whatever strategy, don't think for a minute that it's wrong to look over the fence. No, hey, believe me, it is never wrong to look. Here Mr. Mahfood said this morning, every time Pepsi raise price, that's when they rose Coca-Cola price. Right? Nothing wrong for look over the fence. Alright? There is nothing wrong with looking over the companies do it all the time. Right? Yeah. So as soon as that news break, that they're going to announce the iPhone 16, and I think they're coming with a new or updated tablet. They might come with a newer tablet. As soon as that news comes, which is going to be very soon, look what happens to the stock price. It'll go. Make sense? Make sense? And the reverse is true. When Netflix said that they're going to start to and all of us hated this, block the ads and to block the password sharing, the stock price went down. The market never liked it. Right? People respond to this because they're saying if you start doing ads, people are going to stop subscribing, and if you stop subscribing, the business value will fall. Make sense? Make sense? Simple, right? Simple stuff. So this is your page, right? It shows the previous price of the stock. It shows how much volume traded. It shows the last traded price. It shows the range on the day. All that jazz, right? Listed companies, and the news is a big thing. Remember, when you're a listed company, when a company goes public, when you decide to buy shares in Wesinco, so you decide that you're going to buy the 10 Wesinco shares, you are now a part owner of Wesinco, you know. Not a big owner as Bill, right? But you're an owner, right? And as an owner, you're entitled to the information, right? So you get quarterly financial statements, right? Anyone do accounts? You do accounts? do accounts, right? So you get financial statements with the income statement and the balance sheet, right? You get audited financial statements, right? You get a thing what them call the annual report that speaks about almost everything about the company. Make sense? Because you're an owner, and as an owner, you need to know what's going on. Just like if I borrowed a bicycle, yeah, you need to know what's going on. Martin, where's my bicycle? Where you park it at night? Who wash it? Who have it? Make sense? So as an owner, although 10 shares in Wesinco, right? You get all the information right too. See? Annual report, quarterly financial statements, audited financial statements, and of course, as I say, you get the news. Just for the fun, I'm going to click on the news real quick. Let's see what's happening with them. Real quick. So that first one, notice of changes in management. See that? Yeah. So this is the part I invested that nobody tells you about. Right? You have some work to do. Yeah? You don't just buy the stock and relax. Right? You want to know what is happening with your company. Good? Right? And all the plans, the toll road, everybody know the toll road is a sweetheart deal. The toll raises every year. Right? The most the government can do is beg a delay, but it's a raise. Yeah. Put your pot on fire, as Jamaican like to say. Right? Right? So it shows all the news. See it here? Dividend consideration. You see that? June 21st, 2024. Question?
I was scrolling down and looking at all of these dividends, but all of them are less than $1.
Yeah, dividends are small. Dividends are small. Dividends are. Remember, hold on. Stick up in. Hold on. Alright, so go over my whole heap of doors now. Dividend stocks, if you buy stocks for dividend, it's going to be a volume gain. Because they pay dividend per share. So if you have 10 shares, let me show you something. Let me show you something. Since you're home with that door.
Can we close that?
No, we're not. See this? Wesinco have, you can call this number? A 3 billion is right? Wesinco have 3.7 billion shares. That is valued at 75 billion. A billion is right?
Yeah.
$75 billion. Right? Right? Make sense? So if you have 100 Wesinco share, what fraction is 100 of this? You get what I'm saying? Right. So the dividend is one part of your return though. Right? What you really buy the shares for. Right? Which is what my food mentioned this morning. What you really buy the shares for is the capital gain. The price going up. When they